During this lesson you will be required to fill out a worksheet. I recommend you read through the worksheet before viewing the lesson. In order to give you time to do this, you can use the pause button at the bottom of the screen. Learning outcomes. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to list 6 principles or building regulations in relation to drainage. List the 2 main types of access points and state where they would be used. Show where benching would be used with the aid of a sketch. Draw a plan of a manhole with 2 branch pipes entering it. And state where a tumbling bay would be used. General principles of drainage, building regulations. 1. The drainage layout should be as simple and direct as possible. 2. The materials used should be hard, smooth, non-corrosive and true in shape. 3. All joints must be airtight, watertight and free from internal obstruction. 4. All inlets to drains must have a water seal of at least 50 mm. 5. All branches should be made with the flow. 6. Falls. Pipes should be laid to falls that give a self-cleansing velocity. For a 100 mm diameter pipe, the recommended fall is 1 in 40. For a 150 mm diameter pipe, the recommended fall is 1 in 60. And for a 225 mm diameter pipe, the recommended fall is 1 in 90. 7. Inspection chambers should be placed at changes of direction or gradient. 8. Pipes must be laid to a minimum depth of 300 mm and be protected by haunching. 9. Drains should be ventilated at the highest and lowest points. 10. Drains should not pass under buildings unless this is unavoidable. If so, the following precautions should be taken. All pipes that pass through walls should be bridged over using concrete lintels and haunched in 150 mm of concrete. Access points. The 2 main types of access points are inspection chambers or shallow chambers. For example, an Armstrong junction, an AJ, with working space at ground level, and they should be spaced every 22 metres. So these are low-level inspection chambers. The second type are manholes. These are larger chambers with working space at drain level, normally spaced every 45 metres apart. So these could be any depth. The inspection chambers are shallow chambers, so you have working space at ground level, whereas the manholes could go down any depth. And they give you working space at the drain level. Where should access points be provided? 1. At a bend or change in gradient. 2. On or near the head of each drain run. 3. At a change in pipe size. 4. At a junction of 2 or more branches. Access points. Inspection chambers and manholes should have removable, non-ventilating covers of durable material, except when they are situated within a building, for example in factories. In these cases, they must have mechanically fixed airtight covers. Manholes deeper than 1 metre should have metal step irons or fixed ladders. This is to allow for climbing in and out of the manhole. Covers to manholes should be a minimum of 600 mm square. Again, this is to allow enough space for a person to gain access to the manhole. All branches and channels should be benched at a slope of 1:12. And drop manholes or tumbling bays should be provided in areas of steep gradient. You can see in one of the following diagrams. Here we have a typical AJ or Armstrong junction inspection chamber, which gives access to the drain at ground level. In this diagram here we have a manhole with 1 branch channel. So we can see the inlet on the left and the outlet on the right hand side. We have the benching within the manhole itself as well, and then we have 1 branch channel swooping in to join the main drain. Here we have a plan of a manhole with two branch channels. So we can see we have the inlet up the top and the outlet down the bottom. We have the main drain running down the centre of the manhole. We have a branch pipe which is oblique, so it's coming in at an angle there of less than 45 degrees, and it's going with the flow. The branch pipe is entering the drain with the flow. And the walls are to be a minimum of 215 millimeters thick for any manhole. And again, the minimum size needs to be 600 millimeters square internally. So here we have a diagram of a drop manhole or a tumbling bay, and these are used on steep gradients. So you'd never lay the pipe in at a very steep gradient. You keep the minimum falls on the pipe, and then we use the drop manholes in order to step down as the levels drop down. Conclusion. Drainage building regulations. 1. Layouts should be direct as possible. 2. Pipes should be hard, smooth, non-corrosive and true in shape. 3. All joints must be air and water tight. 4. Inlets must have a 50mm water seal or water trap. 5. Branches should be with the flow. 6. Pipes should be laid to give a self-cleansing velocity. 7. Inspection chambers should be placed at changes of direction or gradient. 8. Pipes must be haunched and buried 300 millimeters. 9. Drains should be ventilated at the highest and lowest points. The two main types of access points used are an Armstrong junction with working space at ground level spaced every 22 metres, and manholes with working space at drain level normally spaced every 45 metres apart. A manhole with two branch pipes entering it. We can see a plan of it here on the right hand side. Sand and cement or concrete benching is used in the manhole in order to direct all the foul and wastewater into the main pipe. Tumbling bays should be used in areas of steep gradient.